Welcome back here to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We're tracking two significant severe weather outbreaks that could bring strong tornadoes, hail, and some straight line winds over 70 miles per hour. And we're also tracking two winter storms, bringing heavy snow and ice as well. So we have a lot to talk about in the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. Also, like the video, especially if you find it informative, and share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Let's look here at our first winter storm, and this is bringing some significant severe weather to the deep south, and we see this low pressure developing here near Tennessee, and it's going to be moving up into Ohio as we go into tonight. On the western and northwestern side, we're seeing snow from places like Milwaukee, Chicago, back into Davenport, and even back further west toward Des Moines and Kansas City. To the south of the low pressure, we are seeing a lot of warm, moist, and unstable air off the Gulf, and that is going to bring some widespread severe weather, I do think, across the deep south as we go into later today. So much so that the Storm Prediction Center's latest update has a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for severe weather. This covers southeastern Louisiana, southern portions of Mississippi and Alabama here, with even that slight risk extending over, that's a level 2 out of 5 in the yellow, into western Georgia. So we could have the threat for some very significant severe weather here, and the biggest threat today is going to be the tornado threat. We have an upgraded 10% hatched risk. You see these dashed lines there? That means we could have a strong EF2 or stronger variety tornado today across these areas here highlighted in yellow, but even in the green and brown shaded colors, that is a 2 and 5% chance of tornadoes within a 25-mile radius respectively. So we have to watch this even up here into northern Alabama, up toward the Atlanta area, back here into Baton Rouge, New Orleans, even in toward the Houston, Galveston area, and northwest Florida near Panama City. We're going to have to watch this as well. Looking at the wind threat, still a formidable 30% chance of some 70-plus mile per hour winds across this region. Those are the straight line winds. And then looking at the hail threat, it's much less because the instability this time of year is not as great, but there's still a chance for some quarter-size hail anywhere you see in brown here into parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. Let's break this down a little bit further for you here and show you the setup. We have dew points that are rising well into the 60s. This is creating the unstable atmosphere and getting these storms ripe for severe weather. And look at the instability. This is your storm fuel, and whenever you see instability really over 1,000 joules per kilogram, thunderstorms and severe weather is in play. And you can see this is over 2,500 joules per kilogram. So this is actually some pretty strong instability for mid to late February standards across Louisiana, southern and central Mississippi, and southern central Alabama here, and even over into Florida. And looking here at the dynamics, this is your low-level jet, right? This is in the 850 millibar layer, and this is the winds just a little bit above our heads, right? And this is definitely key to that low-level wind shear that is needed for strong tornadoes to develop in this region as we go into this afternoon and then extending into the evening. Look at these winds, over 60 knots here, not that far off the ground as we go into the evening hours across Dixie Alley. Now, putting all this into a parameter space, this is what we call a significant tornado parameter. And essentially, the higher the value, the higher the chance for tornadoes and even strong tornadoes. Notice the values are pretty low here as we go into this morning, kind of in that 1, 2, and 3 range. But as we go into the afternoon here, notice as we go into the mid-afternoon, we start to see these maroon reds, even these pinks and purples. This goes out of 10. Right? This is up to 12 out of 10 on the scale across parts of Jackson, Mississippi, for example, Montgomery, into Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, down into Mobile. So this is an area to keep an eye on, and that really continues in earnest all the way through the overnight hours, going through around the midnight time frame before we start to settle some of these parameter space values down and they get below 5. So definitely keeping an eye on tornadoes. Now, in real time, this is what the radar could look like as we go into this afternoon. We got a line of storms lining up near the Mississippi River in Arkansas, Mississippi, back in toward Monroe, Louisiana, and then toward the Houston area. These storms will mature this afternoon as they push east. And I don't like this look for Alabama. because we have prefrontal convection. We have discrete and semi-discrete supercells out ahead of the main line, and these could be the ones to pose the strong tornado risk here. And there is a chance that with the Storm Prediction Center upgrades, that enhanced risk to a moderate risk. Because of this, that is in play, because of those prefrontal storms that could produce those strong tornadoes in that environment, and then those storms will push east and congeal into a line as they push into Atlanta, Montgomery, and down toward Mobile as we go into the overnight hours toward midnight. And then by the time we wake up daybreak on Thursday, those storms will be over the Carolinas, central Georgia, and northwest Florida, but with less severity as we see today. And in addition to the severe weather threat, heavy rainfall is in play. We could be seeing widespread 1 to 3 inches of rain all across Dixie Alley and into the Carolinas, especially the western Carolinas. This is something we're keeping an eye on for a flash flooding threat. So we not only have to deal with the severe weather threat, but we also have to deal with the flash flooding threat down across this region. Now, there is a cold side to this system, and we are seeing snow flying in places like Des Moines, Milwaukee, Chicago, Peoria, Illinois, back toward Kansas City. This is bringing some impacts to the roadways, so if you are traveling for work or anything like that, any errands you have to run, make sure to keep it slow on the roadways. Snow-covered roads, ice-covered roads in these areas, and this will continue as we go into the afternoon. Some heavier snow bands moving through places like southern Wisconsin, Illinois, getting into Michigan here. So Traverse City down to Grand Rapids, Detroit. We also have a thin area of a transition zone of freezing rain and sleet, so we don't want to sleep on that either, from Toledo back there toward Indianapolis and St. Louis, and then maybe some snow on the backside for those areas here that see some ice today, some snow as some of that colder air comes in on the backside, and then some northeast snow, especially up toward Maine. Could see some heavier snow there as we go into Thursday. Quebec, Ontario, southern parts of the provinces will likely see some heavier snow going into the Thursday morning time frame. Here's the additional snowfall accumulations going through Thursday at midday. We're looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, really, from Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, Illinois, back here towards Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and Des Moines. And then further east there into Michigan, we're looking at anywhere from around 3 to 7 inches. Traverse City, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Lansing, and then more of a 1 to 3 inch variety as the Detroit area is kind of on that rain snow line. You might see more ice over there. And then into the northeast Maine, we're looking at around 3 to 6 inches here as well. Upstate New York, 1 to 3. Same thing here into Vermont, New Hampshire, maybe an inch or so in Massachusetts. The further south you go, closer to the coast, we're going to see warmer air with this particular system. And here's the ice threat again around St. Louis, Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, up there toward Toledo and into Detroit, and then some icy conditions there into parts of Pennsylvania, New York State, and cold air damming there into parts of the mid-Atlantic could bring us some ice as we go into your Thursday morning commute. Now, on the backside of the storm, we're going to see some cold air driving from Canada southward into the United States. This is definitely going to pack a punch here, so you want to bundle up as we go through the later portion of this week, with many layers, because these morning hours, widespread sub-zero wind chills and temperatures out here, especially the further north you go into the United States, and that'll really just continue as we go through the weekend time frame. And looking here at the weekend in particular, we have a second winter storm that's going to be making its way on shore of the West Coast as we really go actually into Thursday. Notice you got some low pressure out here to the west, strong Canadian and Arctic high pressure over here in the eastern United States, 1041, driving some cold air on the backside of our late week system. Let's look here at the second system. It's going to bring a lot of moisture back to California here as we go into tonight. Heavier snows for the Sierras, heavier rains for the foothills of central, even southern California. Los Angeles and San Diego could start to see some rainfall here, and then that continues to really spread inland as we go into the day there on Thursday and into Friday. And when it's all said and done, we could be seeing some pretty heavy moisture out here. Rainfall totals anywhere from 2 to as much as 6 inches, especially there in the foothill regions and really right along the coast of California from north to south, all the way down towards San Diego. And then looking at the snowfall potential, yeah, we could be seeing upwards to 4 feet of snow for the Sierras and the watershed out west, and even spreading several inches of snow into places like Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, into northern Arizona there as well, near the Flagstaff area. And then looking at this low pressure, where does it go as from there? So as we go into Friday, strong 997 millibar millibar low pressure in eastern Colorado. That's going to kick out across portions of Oklahoma and Kansas by Saturday morning. And then look as it strengthens as it moves into Ohio, back to a 997 millibar low by Sunday morning. And a strengthening low pressure system means we're going to have heavy deformation snow on the backside, icy mix underneath the low track, and then a significant severe weather outbreak once more in similar areas as we go in towards the weekend. So let's look at the precipitation here. Heading into Friday, a lot of that energy moving across the Rockies and into the plains. Saturday morning, seeing some heavier snow breaking out across the Great Lakes region back toward the Midwest. Exact placement of the snow is a little uncertain, especially the heaviest snow bands, but there will be some snow further north. So Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, northern Illinois again, into Michigan, possibly northern Indiana and Ohio. You're kind of close to that freezing line perhaps, so maybe more of an icy mix. And then severe weather outbreak to the deep south. This could be a very significant system here, and the dynamics are pretty similar, if not a little bit stronger for this system this weekend than we see here this week, and that could promote the threat for some significant severe weather in the form of, again, strong tornadoes, damaging straight line winds that could be pretty widespread over 70 miles an hour, and some large hail quarter size or larger, especially in this yellow, but even the orange shaded color. That is already a day 4 enhanced risk of severe weather. Southeastern Arkansas into much of northeastern and eastern Louisiana, much of Mississippi, and into west central Alabama. You want to be on high alert really around the Natchez area, Monroe, up here into Jackson, even into places like Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, and even further east toward Montgomery, Atlanta, Nashville, and Chattanooga. You don't want to sleep on this threat. This could be upgraded to a moderate risk here in short order as we get more information later on this week, and the Storm Prediction Center updates their outlook. Now on the cold side, we're going to see several inches of snow, similar areas to this week. Heavy snow across Des Moines, Milwaukee, Chicago, Green Bay, up there toward Traverse City again, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo, Fort Wayne, over there toward Toledo and Detroit, and then that could swing over into Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, and Watertown, New York. So a lot of areas that are seeing snow this week will likely see more snowfall and several inches of accumulation heading into the upcoming weekend. Following that storm, we're going to have some cold air next week. Next week could be the coldest air that we see this February, and that could drop down a lot of the Arctic air that we see from the polar vortex down to where we live, from the stratosphere into the troposphere. And looking at our temperature anomalies during a 5-day period next week between Monday, February 17th and Friday, February 21st, we're looking at 30 to even perhaps 40 degrees below normal for places like Indianapolis, Chicago, Des Moines, Kansas City, and even back toward Lincoln, Nebraska. And when we're laying down our snowpack, it's definitely going to help us stay colder as we go into that last week even of February. We're going to continue to track the latest on these two big winter storms with the heavy snow, the ice, and the significant severe weather and the strong tornado potential. Follow along with all my detailed, accurate weather breakdowns. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications for any future videos and live streams here in the future. Also, like the video, give it a thumbs up if you did find it informative and you did enjoy the video. And also, very important, share this video with friends, family, and on social media to get this information out to as many people as possible, as significant severe weather is on the table with both these storms midweek here and in the weekend, and we need people to be aware of the severe weather potential. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful and safe rest of your Wednesday out there.